Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime in Sports. Thanks for joining us. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here, as always, with my co-host,
Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you guys have been enjoying the show so far. Jason Williams last week, I think he was as big a disaster as we promised.
I love him.
This week, we're moving on. We're moving outside of the world of kind of what you'd call mainstream sports. We're heading into wrestling this week, professional wrestling. And dealing with Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
I love him.
Now, right off the bat, we're doing wrestling, so there's wrestling fans of their own little cult out there. So I'm going to stay as true to them as I can and try to have information and not sound like I just never heard of wrestling before, because I do know some stuff. And for you non-wrestling fans, people that normally tune in to hear about football and basketball players, trust us.
There's enough scum in this to even it out.
It's funny. And it's good, and if you don't think that they're athletes, then imagine Pablo Sandoval coming off the top rope. They're athletes, okay? Yeah. So, and especially Snuka, as we're going to get into. He's an amazing physical specimen, and a great athlete, and
much
a
better
fucking
form,
lunatic.
Much better form than any fat-ass pitcher pitching today.
Exactly. Any relief pitcher right now, he's doing better. So, we get into Snuka. Let's see here. Snuka, interesting guy. He was actually born, his name was James Wiley Smith, which sounds extremely white.
Wiley as shit.
Sounds like a blonde man. He was born on May 18th, 1943. His parents, an interesting situation with his parents. Apparently, his father was already married to another woman when he impregnated Snuka's mother.
All right.
And Snuka's mother was already engaged to another man also.
Holy shit.
So
it's like a Swingers episode or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Snuka's real father went and married the woman, or stayed with his wife, and Snuka's mom married this man.
Wow.
And was Bernard Ryer is his name. And they raised Snuka in the Marshall Islands.
So he didn't even know his dad.
No. I mean, they were in the Marshall and in Fiji, and then the Marshall Islands, and then ended up in Hawaii in his teen years.
Fascinating.
He was a cliff diver in Hawaii, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Tourists would throw change in the water, I guess, coins, and he would dive down and catch them before they hit the bottom. That was his trick.
Wow.
And then he got to keep all the coins.
The origin of the Superfly splash.
Right there. So he would do that, take the coins home to his mom and be like, I made some dough today.
I made money.
Became a pro bodybuilder in the 60s. If you've ever seen Jimmy Superfly Snuka, just a ripped cut individual.
He really is pretty impressive.
So, no surprise that he was a bodybuilder in his younger days, in the 1960s, and when he was in his 20s. He won Mr. Hawaii, Mr. Waikiki, Mr. North Shore.
Mr. Hawaii.
Mr. Hawaii.
Just every Mr. all around, beach body, tan skin.
Yeah.
Ripped chest and ripply belly.
And a crazy person.
And a lunatic.
No fear at all.
Psychotic, right.
So he starts wrestling in Hawaii in 1970. His name was Jimmy Kealoha, which there's put aloha in there, which is pretty funny. He wrestled in Hawaii for a little bit, and it's not really a big wrestling scene then, so he had to come to the States. He came to the States, went to Portland, Pacific Northwest territory, with a promoter named Don Owen up there. And he did well up there, actually. Broke in, became Snuka, became Jimmy Snuka. He's the 6-time heavyweight champ up there, so did well for himself.
Yeah.
Tag team champs a couple times. Dutch Savage was his partner up there.
All right.
And so some interesting stuff up in Portland, and he bounces all around, as the wrestlers do back then. Wrestling isn't what it is now, back then. Right. Wrestling back then, and this is very important for what comes out later in this story, his crime, or alleged crime, comes down. Basically, this wouldn't have happened in wrestling today.
Right.
Today, it's big business. These guys are on television, national television, all the time. It's a huge thing.
It's McMahon's wallet you're fucking with.
Exactly.
Right.
And if anybody had any kind of issue, it would be on TMZ immediately. It would be on Twitter. It would blow up.
Forget it.
This guy'd be fired.
The Ultimate Warrior died in a parking lot, and it was front page news. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been quote unquote relevant for how many years, you know? And even still, when he died, it was still a big story.
It was a big deal. Back then, this is the time, this is the year, we're talking when Snuka's incident happened, we're talking 1983. It's when Vince McMahon first took over the WWF, then not even the WWE yet.
Hulk Hogan's still wearing yellow.
Hulk Hogan wasn't even in the WWF yet.
Oh,
Hulk Hogan was hanging out in Minneapolis with Vern Gagne, freezing his ass off, fighting a guy named Nick Bockwinkel who looked like somebody's uncle.
Flicking icicles off his handlebar mustache.
Literally. So that's what he was doing at that point. So, I mean, it was a different era, different thing completely. It was just guys, they were 7 days a week traveling, driving from shit town to shit town in their cars and, you know, drinking and doing cocaine.
It's a circus, essentially.
It's basically the circus.
They're the wrestling Renaissance fair. That's what it is.
And so, you know, Jimmy Snuka then, he went to Texas after the Pacific Northwest, went down in Texas. I'm not sure which promotion he worked for because there was the Blanchards in Western Texas. Tully Blanchard's dad had a territory there. And then Fritz von Erich had World Class in the Dallas area. I'm not sure exactly which one he was in.
Right.
But he hung around there for a while. Then he went to Mid-Atlantic, and that's kind of like a major league type of thing. Like there's WWF, and Mid-Atlantic was Jim Crockett Promotions, which was kind of the main hub of the NWA, which was National Wrestling Alliance, which was the main kind of body of wrestling. They were like the WWE of their day. They were like an association that kind of made all the territories loosely tied together.
Interesting.
They would have the NWA champion who then would go around to all the territories and defend his belt.
Right.
So there was kind of a big partnership of promoters, basically.
It was for real.
Yeah, it was a big partnership. So he went there. It wasn't real. It was
No.
You know,
this is as fake as it gets. But it was for real. It was a legit business that they were.
Yeah.
But it was small.
It was a
private,
racket.
Right.
It was a racket. They were like a giant
right.
mafia syndicate.
That's
basically.
That's a good word for it.
Is the best way to put it.
Fucking racket.
So he goes to Mid-Atlantic. He's tagging with Paul Orndorff, if you remember Mr. Wonderful from the 80s and 90s. I love Paul Orndorff because he seems like a mean little shit. They won the tag titles in '79. They beat Baron von Raschke and Greg the Hammer Valentine, another guy. If you know anything about '80s wrestling, Greg the Hammer Valentine is a beast and a just hilarious guy. Beat Ricky Steamboat. You remember Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
That sounds familiar.
In '79 for the U.S. title over down there. So you know things are going well for Jimmy.
Right.
He went down to Georgia. Terry Gordy teamed with him. They won the NWA national tag belt. So Ted DiBiase was involved. in that.
Yeah.
So they beat Ted DiBiase.
Ted now, if you don't know, is a preacher.
Oh,
How fucking weird is that?
Oh yeah, he is
so strange.
I don't know how because he's done so much cocaine, mountains of cocaine.
He is a traveling preacher now. That's awesome. Anyway,
he is. So I mean, he goes there. Then finally, 1982. I'm breezing past all this. I mean, I'm not going to get into every. All of his wrestling accomplishments, guys. We're gonna, I got to breeze through, get into the crime.
This is, after all, crime before sports.
This
crime
is
in sports.
In
not
sports
and crime.
Yes, exactly. So I'll breeze chronologically. I'm gonna hit up the wrestling. I don't want to piss off.
Give
the
you
people,
a brief synopsis of the history of this man, though.
Yeah,
he was fantastic.
This is important. This is his rise, and this is his rise to fame, which kind of leads to the inflation of his ego and the fact that he can get away with anything.
Sure.
So finally,
yeah, I mean, you be the superstar in really anything, and the spotlight's on you. No matter if it's a small time racket or MLB baseball, you still have this arrogance about you that you feel like you can just get away with absolutely everything.
Thousands of people come.
We're not going to let it happen.
No, we're not. We're not going to let you get away with that, Jimmy. It's time to pay the piper.
Absolutely,
and not Rowdy Piper. So
well done.
Yeah, thank you. Piper comes into this later too.
I can't wait.
Not into the crime.
Right.
Piper had nothing to do with it that I know of. I don't know what happened. Anything could happen. So he finally goes to WWF in 1982, which is the WWE now. I'll refer to it as the WWF during this period because it was the WWF.
Right.
So
he's managed on the tax forms.
Exactly. He's managed by Captain Lou Albano. Who, if you remember him, he was the guy in the Cyndi Lauper videos in the 80s.
Face piercing
with rubber bands hanging out of it. He was the girl. Not Girls Just Want to Have Fun. The other one, the Goonies song. He was in that video.
I don't know what it's called.
And he was in all Cyndi Lauper shit, basically. And he was a character among characters.
Right.
He was just the
loudmouth,
crazy son of a bitch. So he's in there. It's 1982 goes by. Snuka is a giant hit in New York. Now,
of course.
WWF is New York based back then. They ran like New York, Pennsylvania, down to Maryland, Baltimore, the whole Northeast area. Snuka was a giant hit.
Absolutely.
People loved this guy.
Yeah.
Because nobody back then, wrestlers didn't fly around like they do now.
Right.
It was two guys that, I said it before, I'll say it again, that looked like somebody's uncle that worked at like a foundry, basically just front face locking each other for 25 minutes on the ground. You know, that was wrestling back then. So, I mean, and then Jimmy Snuka comes in. He looks like $1 million. He's cut, he's ripped, he's coming off the top rope, and with flair. He's not just kind of
not just diving
down.
In.
He's
going up and in.
He's soaring across the ring. People are into this.
Spread eagle with the splash.
Plus, he's got an odd charisma about him also. He doesn't speak much because he doesn't speak well. He's not from America. His English isn't fantastic. He speaks slowly. And
Mainland America.
But
not from America.
At this point, he's a bad guy, okay? Right. He's a heel at this point. I don't know how they could make this guy a bad guy, but somehow people would boo him, but I think eventually they liked him and they had to turn him into a good guy. So anyway... he's progressing. Things are going well. 1983 rolls around. He's dating a girl. This is when it gets interesting now.
This is fun.
This is when it happens. He is dating a girl named... now, her name is different in everything I've seen. Literally everything I've seen. I've seen Argentino. I've seen Argento.
Right.
I've seen Argenta. I've heard her called Valentino, which I don't know where the fuck that came from. So we're going to call
She's
her...
like running from the law.
Yes, we're going to call her Argento.
I like it.
For now, just because if that's not her name, I apologize. But literally, this is 14 different sources. They're all different. I have no idea. So anyway, Nancy Argento, she is 23 years old at the time. Jimmy is married with 4 children.
Yes.
He has a wife at home while he's going around every night on tour. So he's got his road woman here, I guess.
His road gash.
His road gash, for a really good way to put it. So
they have fun together.
They have a good time.
They're having really a blast.
There were some red flags for Nancy right away.
There should be.
Excuse me. Some red flags for Nancy.
He's married and has 4 kids. Number 1.
That's one. That wasn't the one that registered for her, though. That should have been a thing.
Right.
She didn't take it as that, though. So Nancy had apparently started receiving some phone calls from Jimmy Snuka's ex-girlfriends.
Oh, boy.
Saying, hey, look, you don't want to be with this guy.
Warning.
The one said, he broke my ribs.
Oh,
he likes to choke me up against walls.
Yeah.
And she had heard from other women he dated.
That was
a thing. He's a little rough. Now, he's also jacked to the gills on roids. He is just steroided out.
Absolutely.
And he admits later on in his book that he did basically any powder, pill, injection, anything you put in front of him, he'd just stick it in himself.
The cream and the clear. He's jamming it up his ass.
Doesn't
he
care.
Wants all of it.
And that includes cocaine, painkillers, anything he can get his hands on, just ingesting it. He's just an open sewer at this point. So, Nancy's getting all these phone calls. Nancy's family hates him, begs her to break up with him.
Sure.
She has a younger sister who claims that when he was over the family house, he threatened to kick her and choke her and said that no one would know. I will kick and
choke you. Nobody will know.
He said, I could kick and choke you and no one would know about it. And so that freaked out the little sister, of course. Do you dump a guy for physically threatening your younger sister? Apparently not.
Apparently not.
So that's fine. Because, I mean, honestly, let's look at it, too. They were drug people.
Absolutely.
They're drugged together. And it's one of those things.
They're partying. They're
having fun together. And she's like, this is a rich guy with a ton of cocaine.
He says crazy shit when he's all coked out. Of course he's going to tell you he chokes and kicks you.
We travel around. We do a lot of cocaine. Sometimes you get kicked and punched. I don't know. Choked against the wall. What are you going to do? So, So, anyway, there's an incident here. In 1983, it starts in January.
All right.
This is, she's still alive after this incident, luckily. This is January 17th, 1983. There's an incident at the Howard Johnson Motel, actually.
Yeah, of course.
In Salina, New York. Yeah, there's an M in front of there, not an H. Salina, New York is up by Syracuse. It's way up in western upstate.
Right.
8 feet of snow, New York.
Shithole, New York. It's not big buildings and concrete.
No. It's horrible. I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. It's not good up there. It's not good. I mean, I'm sure if you like, but I'm not going to.
It's not the shit that everybody sings about.
No, it's not good.
No, it's not Billy Joel's song.
Frank Sinatra's never been up there. So apparently there was an arrest at this Howard Johnson's. The police were called by the hotel manager who heard Nancy apparently screaming for her life in a room up there.
Which you would be.
Yeah, screaming for her life.
Coked out Jimmy Fly checking her. Chasing her around her room.
So the cops came, police arrived on the scene, and Jimmy did not go down easily.
No, I can't imagine he would.
Jimmy is a tough guy.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestler or not. These guys back now, the guys are kind of like models a little bit with like, whatever that's kind of cosmetic.
It's a giant puppet that they just tell what to do.
These
Back
guys
then it wasn't like
tough.
that. Yeah.
These
guys could fight.
Had to like defend them. They'd go out in bars and people go, "Hey, you phony son of a bitch."
Right.
And back then it wasn't out that it was fake. Right. He had to kick that guy's ass now.
He has to tell him it's not phony.
He has to show you. He has to go home. The guy who says that has to go home to all his friends and say, "That wrestling ain't fake. Look what that guy did to me. He broke my orbital socket."
I can't speak straight now.
That's what they're looking for. So
their words are not in my vocabulary anymore.
Different type of thing. These were tough guys. Apparently, the police arrived, and Jimmy, not going down without a fight, decided to fight 9 police officers. 9. And 2 police dogs also, because he's not.
This is the shit that would be on TMZ now.
Oh God, there'd be footage of this.
This would be front page news. It would be huge, and every person in America wants to see that happen. I want to see The Rock fight 9 cops and 2 dogs.
I would love to see that.
That'd be amazing.
I would watch that show. Imagine seeing the footage, just even if it's black and white, grainy from the corner security footage of Jimmy Snuka fighting 9 armed men. And 2 trained attack dogs.
2 German Shepherds, yeah.
Holy shit.
Absolutely.
That's way better than WrestleMania.
I'll watch that through the night vision goggles that Paris Hilton shot a porno with. I'll watch that all day long.
All day long.
In slow-mo. I can't wait. And something tells me, too, that fight goes a lot longer with him than it would with The Rock. You know?
Yeah. This guy's an animal.
This is a brawler.
Basically. Yeah, he's a brawler. And he's tough. And also, too, he's an island guy. He's from the Fiji Islands. These guys in wrestling are known as, like, you don't fuck with the island guys. They will mess you up. There's a guy named Haku that, now, in this research, I came across countless stories of all this. There's a guy named Haku. I don't know if you remember him. Haku was Meng in WCW later on.
I remember Meng.
He's a big, scary guy. He is a Tongan.
Yeah.
And this guy, there's... Two different incidents. One where he bit a man's nose off in a bar, clean off.
That's fucking
grabbed
great.
him by the face. And there's another one where this happened like 3-4 times, where he just liked to pop people's eyeballs out.
What the fuck?
He would get in a fight and just with his finger pop your eyeball out.
Stick it behind your eyeball and yank it out.
Pop it out. So
unbelievable.
This is the kind of people we're dealing with here. These are tough, coked out, drinking, roided up island people. It's tough.
You put somebody that actually thinks of that as like a finishing move, or even a move in a fight at all, pulling your eyeball out, and then put cocaine inside them.
And then put cocaine and steroids, get them jacked up and strong. Yeah. You want them strong for that. So Snuka, this why that wasn't Snuka, that was a different guy. But Snuka, I mean, I don't know what the hell happened in the hotel, if he was Superfly splashing her off the top rope or whatever. It was interesting. So there's reports
9
here.
cops and 2 dogs, and this is pre-taser.
This is pre-taser. Yeah, I don't know. He would have got shot immediately now.
Yeah.
Done. So, but
Holy
then
shit.
they were going to negotiate with him. Plus, it was Superfly Snuka.
Right.
They knew who he was.
We know who you are.
You don't want to be the guy who shot Superfly Snuka. He's supposed to fight Bob Backlund tomorrow. I have tickets. What the fuck? This is what happens. So
where was this at? What city?
Salina, New York. It's by Syracuse.
Okay, so it's up there.
It's up there. So yeah, there's not a lot going on too. Like, hey, it's Superfly. You know, like it's there's nothing happening up there. Especially
Everybody in
80s.
town can hear it going on too. Because
Probably.
There's nothing going on that night. They know what.
There's reports there. She had, I guess, contacted her sister later on and said that he dragged her through her hair, by her hair, naked through the hotel, which that's a nice thing to do.
I'll jerk off to that footage. I love it.
Yeah. There's a report in the Herald Journal in Syracuse, New York, that a couple days later that, dealt with some of the police reports and talked to the cops, and they said that the whole thing happened because... according to him, she was ignoring him when he was trying to tell her, quote, the truth about God. So I don't know.
I want him to tell me the truth.
I don't. I don't want to know the truth. Apparently the truth ends up having you dragged by your hair through a hotel. Naked. So God apparently wants you.
That is the truth about God.
God loves you. Come here, give me that hair. I'll drag you through the...
Get your clothes off. We got people to show your beef to. This is
my
great.
God. So this ended up resulting in him pleading guilty to violent felony assault with intent to cause injury.
Unwilling preaching.
And unwilling preaching, preaching to an unwilling participant. He was granted a conditional discharge on the counts of third-degree assault and harassment and obstruction of a government official.
Okay.
And he did all this by donating $1,500 to a deputy sheriff's survivor fund. So,
And then it all goes away?
It all goes away.
Wowza.
So back then,
Upstate New York,
could beat the shit out of your girlfriend, drag her naked by the hair through a motel, fight 9 cops and 2 police dogs, and drop $1,500 to a cop charity. And they're like,
and
you
go
know what,
on your
Jimmy?
way.
Top rope is that way, pal. Don't worry about it.
Show us the splash.
Holy fucking shit.
That's fantastic.
So this goes, and it's, they're fine now. I mean, he's goes about his business.
Yeah.
He's got matches the next night. No worries. He's doing his thing. Let's see here. He's doing his thing here. And before we come, now in May is the incident. Nancy passes away through some shady means in May. We're going to
The only people that know the story are him and God and his God, the one that knows the truth.
Yeah, I don't know, his tiki God or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. That's pretty bad. But yeah, so he's beating this one. This is the other thing I don't get. Okay, he's married. He has 4 kids. He's got this woman on the side, which people do that all the time. That's fine. I guess if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But he's beating this woman.
Right.
And also, he beat his wife too.
Right.
There's a lot of charges of that. So it's not enough. You have a woman to beat at home, first of all, if you're going to beat somebody, you horrible asshole. Second of all, if she's doing something so horrible that you have to beat her and you can't stand her that much, you're not tied to this woman. Leave.
Get rid of her.
It's your road girl.
Right. It's your road
Leave her.
gash.
Yeah.
It's your road gash. You got plenty of cops
Leave
on the
her in
road you can beat
Oswego.
up.
Who cares? What are you doing, asshole? Instead, you're like, I'm
Oswego.
going to fucking beat this lady up. Leave
That's
this poor lady
incredible.
alone. Send her somewhere else.
What makes her stick around? That's so
Cocaine.
crazy. Yeah, I guess.
Cocaine.
I
And
guess-
Snuka was a famous guy.
Yeah.
Charisma. I don't know if he's good looking or not, but I mean, he was muscly. I don't know
Yeah.
if chicks are into that. 80s chicks, I think, were a lot
It's a
easier.
hell of a specimen of human creation to be as big as he was.
He was.
But to put up with that kind of shit, he must have been a sweetheart outside of these fucking bouts.
Amazing.
He had to be amazing.
He was. His wrestling figure was shitty, though. I'm going
Was
to be
it?
honest. I had his wrestling
I didn't
figure.
have it.
No good. Here's why. Okay. Bad pose.
Right.
Anybody who had the Jimmy Snuka wrestling figure will know this. His pose was like he was making a muscle with one hand, like put your arm up and put your your fist by your head, like
Right.
you're making a muscle flexing your bicep. That's not a fighting pose.
No.
And his other one was on his near his
Oh,
hip.
no.
Like he was gonna. There's no. I mean, you can't.
How do you use that guy?
You can't fight 9 police dogs. You can't even drag a woman by her hair with that pose. It's awful. There's no fighting going on at all with
You
that.
can't do coke like that.
No, and he had a big smile on his face. Like, why is he smiling? What the hell's going on? I want him to be tough. So anyway, yeah, he was useless there. Yeah, not good. So anyway, we come to they travel around, they do their thing, and then we come to May 11th, 1983.
Okay.
Well, actually, May 10th is when this all occurred. On May 11th is when Nancy succumbed to her injuries.
Gotcha.
We're in Allentown, Pennsylvania, outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania. There was a show at the Lehigh County Fairgrounds or
Right.
something like that, I believe. It's Lehigh, Pennsylvania is where this is occurring.
Gotcha.
Allentown is where WWF at the time did TV tapings once every 3 weeks. That was a very common area for these guys to be in. So they are at the George Washington Motor Lodge, room 427 in Whitehall, Pennsylvania. when this
Sounds
is occurring.
really nice.
Yes, it is. So on that evening, the 10th of May, apparently Jimmy Superfly Snuka gets back to the hotel where he had Nancy waiting for him after a night of wrestling. And he
Was not done wrestling.
apparently, according to Jimmy,
Right.
he found her unresponsive when he came in. There was a yellow liquid coming from her mouth, unresponsive, labored breathing.
Right.
He called 911. Ambulance came. Now, here's the thing. Here is where it gets shifty,
Little
okay?
foggy,
Yes. They take her, obviously, to the hospital. Now, another wrestler named Don Morocco comes into the picture at this. And guys, I dug so deep. Seriously, I illegally downloaded interviews with ex-professional wrestlers. I was 4:00 in the morning, I'm sitting here watching a 60-year-old fat guy tell me about what happened in upstate New York 30 years ago after he wrestled another fucking guy. It's ridiculous. So Don Morocco comes into the picture here. Don Morocco is another wrestler and knows Jimmy Superfly Snuka very well. He's a Hawaiian also, so
is that right?
The island guys have their own kind of clique, and he knows Jimmy very well. Anyway, Morocco gets called to the hospital earlier that evening because a wrestler named Eddie Gilbert, wrestling fans will know who Eddie Gilbert is, big wrestling family. His dad is a wrestler, father a wrestler. Father wrestler, brothers wrestlers.
Right.
He was kind of a big deal, Eddie Gilbert, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert, if you remember him. He was in a car accident and broke his neck that night. He drove into a semi from behind and got hitched onto it, and the guy dragged him for a mile. Had no idea he was back there. Didn't notice till he saw that the back of his truck was on fire.
Wow.
Dragging. Eddie Gilbert had a broken neck.
Mansfield.
Absolutely. So Don Morocco is called, because he's very close to Eddie Gilbert, he's called to the hospital. He goes to the hospital, sees Eddie Gilbert, sees next to him in the emergency room is Nancy.
Right.
Jimmy's girlfriend, not looking good.
What happened to you, Nancy?
She's not in talking, so he's like, what the hell's up with that?
Right.
He knows Jimmy's a bit of a loon. He's like, oh shit, what happened here? He goes back to the hotel. Police have arrived at this point, and it's homicide detectives. We're not fucking around anymore.
Absolutely.
This isn't some uniformed guys and their police dogs. This is homicide detectives.
These are business suits with a badge on the hip.
Not good. So apparently Morocco had alerted Vince McMahon to this. He had told Vince McMahon about Eddie Gilbert's broken neck, and he also said, oh, by the way, think Jimmy Snuka's girlfriend's dead in the hospital next to him. Don't know if maybe that's a thing. You might want to check into that. So Vince hops in a car. He is there, man.
Right.
Vince McMahon on the scene. And like I said, this is not Vince McMahon, CEO, billionaire.
No. All muscly. No.
This is Vince McMahon running like a shady city-to-city racket mafia type organization. He's like a dirty live promoter at this point. He's
keeping this shit out of the public eye.
He's not a television producer at this point. He's just like, hey, let's gather 2,000 people, and it's a different thing. So anyway, Vince McMahon shows up. He's trying to take care of it. He apparently tells Snuka, and this is the same thing that happened in the first incident earlier in January with the hair pulling and the police dogs. He told Jimmy, clam up. You don't understand shit.
Right.
You play that native
Absolutely.
thing. You fucking let me do the talking.
I jump off cliffs and get changed from the bottom. That's me.
Yeah. So, I mean, they bring him in. Now, Don Morocco, this other wrestler, Magnificent Morocco, he jumps in the car with Jimmy. This is what a different time this was, too. They drove to Hamburg, which is where the police station was. They let Jimmy ride with Morocco in the car behind them. The cops drove ahead.
Follow us.
And
Come with us for some questioning.
And Morocco said they're drinking beers back there. So they're like, fuck it, it's 8 a.m. Like, what are we? They don't care. They're not traffic cops.
I got a dead bitch in a hotel. I should be guzzling the shit.
I'm guzzling some beers.
Right.
So, I mean, it was, they were immediately suspicious of all this. The coroner was very suspicious.
Sure.
This woman, apparently, when they did the autopsy, she had, I think it was 39 cuts, bruises, abrasions. All over the place. They said in ways that very much looked like, abuse.
A beating.
Beating, yeah. Little cuts, abrasions, hands, neck, face, things like that you don't just get by accident.
Right.
Very suspicious. Apparently the coroner told the DA that I would investigate this to the fullest. This is not, this is a suspicious death.
She came in looking like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction after a beating.
So not good. But the investigators, I don't know what Vince McMahon had over them. I mean, I get that it's a small town. I don't understand it, but Vince McMahon acted as his mouthpiece. Snuka said he did not want an attorney. Vince was fine. Vince smoothed it all over.
Vince is fine. Vince will do. I don't need somebody trained in law.
Yeah.
Just give me that guy that finances me.
I don't know how much he donated to the Deputy Sheriff Survivor Fund, but apparently a shitload because...
No lawyer, please. Just that guy.
Yeah,
what?
I mean, this is all going on. Jimmy's being questioned for murder. He's got a wife and 4 kids in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Like, hey, Daddy's jumping off the top rope tonight. So that's a fucking problem. Jimmy, he's had 4 kids, married 3 times. Jimmy, this was his second wife he was on now. He's got another one now that he married in 2004 that's long suffering with this whole thing.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, he ends up doing that. They end up letting him go. on this somehow. He's got to wrestle.
It's a dead girl. We don't have enough information.
And I can't stress to you how much this affects Vince McMahon monetarily if Jimmy Snuka is not there.
If he's right. If your star isn't there, you have nothing.
He's like, big business right
now.
Yeah,
at this point, he's like the John Cena of what they are now.
Exactly. They had their champ Bob Backlund, but Snuka was the guy.
That's him.
This is pre-Hulk Hogan, pre-Roddy Piper.
Right. Pre-everybody.
Snuka was making this guy money.
Absolutely.
So he is seeing so who knows what McMahon could have bribed them if that's what happened with, because it would, whatever the amount is, it was worth it to him.
Affects him forever.
It affects him forever. Just one card with 20,000 people in Madison Square Garden, I don't know how much money they make off that, but one night of that is worth it.
It's plenty, yeah.
So, I mean, so that's a mess. His claim, Snuka's claim, was that they were, quote, messing around outside the hotel room, and an inadvertent push from messing around caused her to fall and hit her head.
She slipped on ice or some shit outside, right?
And she slipped, possibly an ice slip.
Because it was all cold in upstate New York.
Yes.
She falls and hits her head, and he put her in bed or some shit?
Yeah, he said he just put her in bed. He went to work.
Right.
And the coroner says, too, I mean, this was, he waited between 12 and 24 hours after the blow to the head to call the cops.
Yeah.
And it was a trauma, blunt force to the head is what ended up happening. So, I mean, it was a disaster, basically. The funny thing is, too, with Morocco, when the cops arrived, Morocco played his interpreter, like acted like he didn't know what they were saying. He was telling him, and then Snuka was acting like, oh, okay. And like, Snuka spoke English just fine. Turn on the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't Laurence Olivier or anything, but he spoke English.
But he's using fucking Morocco as a... That's fantastic.
He spoke better English than any hotel mate I've ever seen.
That may be his most brilliant move.
It's
just
amazing.
To act like he doesn't know.
It's a new one. So, and this is a quote from that the district attorney told the press about Vince McMahon. So when they were in the interview room. I guess they're trying to guilt Vince McMahon into something, and Vince's quote was, quote, "If you think I'm going to be hurt by the revelation that one of my wrestlers is really a violent individual, you're mistaken." No, there's multiple meanings there. Like, I know these guys are fucking crazy. I load them with steroids and cocaine and send them out there.
And pay them. I see them daily. I know what these men are capable of. And yeah, that's no surprise to me.
Either that or he's, on the other hand, he's also thinking, not the worst thing for business if people think these guys are really tough. I mean, that was the thing. Back then, too, a lot of these promoters used to tell their guys, hey, you got to go out and, fuck somebody up in a bar. You got to do it. Do what you got to do. Because
prove yourself.
Make sure that they go home saying wrestling isn't fake, basically, was how they did it, which is insane. But, so, the Lehigh County coroner's name was Wayne Snyder, and he said, upon viewing the body, I immediately suspected foul play and notified the DA.
Good call.
So, I mean, he was on top of this.
The one smart person in this whole situation so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, the cops are there. She's dead. This is bad. And the whole thing just kind of blows over.
That's amazing.
She's dead. Whether he killed her or not at this point, it's suspicious. It's shady. She's dead. He's famous.
They've just got no proof so far.
He's moving on to the next town. He's moving on to the next town. He's going to Superfly splash somebody the next night. And that's it. That's it for the thing. It goes away.
Unbelievable.
Imagine now the fervor this would cause.
Oh, my God. It'd be insanity.
Imagine, like you said, if John Cena kills a woman in a hotel room or at least a woman dies under shady circumstances.
John Cena delivers a dead chick to a hospital. He's not on Raw the next week. No. It's not happening.
He's not on Raw. Things are not... No, it's not going down like that at all. It's going to be
He's not in the next Amy Schumer movie. He's doing nothing. He's going to be in a jail cell until we sort this shit out.
Or at least sitting in like a trailer in North Carolina somewhere awaiting trial or something.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Superfly is running out to Pontiac, Michigan or some shit.
Meanwhile, Snuka, after this is when things take off for him. This is when he blows up. This is when he turns from a bad guy to a good guy. He's now a baby face. Things go crazy for him. He before this he was feuding with Backlund for the title. Backlund was the heavyweight champ. Backlund was a good guy. He looked like Howdy Doody.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing. This was actually in 1982. He did the first Superfly splash off the top of the steel cage.
All right.
Tried to do that on Backlund, missed it. Backlund won the match. Whatever. But then after he becomes a good guy, he feuds with the aforementioned Don Morocco, who is his interpreter at the hotel. He's feuding with Don Morocco, and they have a giant feud. I mean, this was the hottest feud in wrestling back then. And then the most famous thing happens that we have to mention it. It's the Snuka off the top of the steel cage and actually hitting Morocco.
Right.
It was the biggest thing in the world back then. Nobody had done it. I mean, maybe they did somewhere in Japan or something, but not in the States. Nobody had seen it. And this was in Madison Square Garden. It's a famous story that like Mick Foley and all these guys, there's a bunch of future wrestlers in the crowd to see this whole thing. It's a big deal. That was in October of '83 that happened. So he's really going crazy. His wrestling figure comes out. I mean, there's a cartoon of this is when wrestling goes from smoky rooms to there's literally a Saturday morning cartoon
to big things
with these guys
to huge stages in every major market,
lunchboxes, action figures, you name it, ice
wrestling
cream bars,
buddies,
literally ice cream bars with a picture of them on it. Everything you could imagine with that.
Marketing went insane.
He goes and this is also Vince McMahon takes this from a regional thing to a national thing at this point. And these guys that he is with, the Snukas, the Pipers, the Hogans, the Iron Sheiks, these guys become celebrities, not just niche guys. Your grandmother knew who Jimmy Superfly Snuka was. That's the thing. This is not like some little. Your grandmother knew who this person was. You could just find a guy on the street and go, name 3 wrestlers. Superfly Snuka would be one of them. He was super famous.
And they'll rattle off 5.
They'll rattle off 5, yeah, exactly. Superfly is one of them. There's an incident. He feuds with Roddy Piper, who also recently passed away. Piper, and I love Roddy Piper.
Best.
He was such a crazy. He's like, I would think you would love him because he's a little loudmouth.
Right.
Yeah. He's great.
I love that. The snake. What was it called? The pit. The Piper's
Pit.
Yeah. Piper's Pit was my favorite goddamn thing.
It's great
because he was just that. He was a loudmouth
jerk.
And he started fights, and I loved it.
And this is what happened here. There's a feud with Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Roddy Piper started in Piper's Pit, where, and they both claimed to their last days that this was not planned. They were having a thing, and they were supposed to start a little argument and start a feud, and this was all kind of improv back then. This was not a scripted thing like it is today.
Right.
And Piper had brought some things like to make fun of Jimmy for being from the islands.
Islander shit.
He's like, "Hey, you want a pineapple? You want this? You want that?" And he had like pineapples and bananas, and he also had a coconut. And he took this coconut, and Snuka had no idea this was coming, and he broke it into about 100 pieces over Snuka's head.
Holy shit!
And he said he didn't doctor, he didn't do anything, he didn't expect it to break. He just hit it, and it exploded on his head.
I hit him so hard, and his head is so hard it blew up. Do you know I have hit those with ball-peen hammers trying to open them, and they will not open?
No.
He smashed that on a guy's fucking head.
Snuka's head. So this will come up later when the competency things come up in court. This is a possibility of why he might be telling the truth.
Absolutely.
So he's hitting the head with a coconut, and that was a big giant feud, and that went on forever. That's a famous thing in Snuka's legacy. We have to mention it. Apparently, Piper too said he was scared shitless after he did it. I can
imagine
because he's like, I just kept throwing
because he didn't go down,
on him.
right?
Because he kind of went down, and he was getting back up, and he's like, he's going to kill me when we get backstage.
He's still alert.
Yeah, he's going to drag me by my hair naked through Howard Johnson. I got to get out of here.
And Forrest preached to me.
And Forrest says, I'm going to tell you about God, brother. That is kind of how he talks. Not only with the accents, but he's like, I'm going to tell you about God, brother. That's how he talks. He gets deeper into drugs and into just apparently becomes unreliable at this point. Vince McMahon starts, and Vince McMahon wanted to make him one of his top 3 guys like he was, but he's too unreliable.
Right.
He would miss shows. He wouldn't show up. He didn't know what the hell was going on with Snuka. His cocaine was getting out of hand.
Out of control.
Cocaine,
this is when
pills, booze.
If you listen to the Iron Sheik talk ever anymore, he's fantastic to listen to him rant. But around 85, 86 were the glory days for them of just being complete nudniks, complete assholes.
Yeah.
Drinking beer after beer after beer and doing coke after coke after coke line. Like they're just ingesting so much horrible poison.
And they were still living like they were like this small-time thing that nobody knew about. Meanwhile, they were national television
They are not small town, right.
And they're driving around in cars doing lines off the dashboard and drinking beer over. You can't.
Key bumps in the back seat.
Yeah, you couldn't have like Michael J. Fox and Scott Baio in 1985 hanging around in a car doing that shit.
Sitting in a DeLorean doing key bumps.
Yeah, that's it. But these guys, they were like, well, we're good.
Right.
So, things get crazy. They go on a Middle Eastern tour. Jimmy Snuka is detained in the Middle East twice. First, you'd never want to get detained in the Middle East for anything, especially for drugs.
Right.
And if after it happened once, I'm not
How are you
bringing
going to
drugs.
do it again? Right.
This guy's like, gotta have my cocaine, brother. I'll bring it with me.
I don't learn.
He's detained in Kuwait for having cocaine taped to his body. Actually, who got him out of trouble there was a combination of Vince McMahon and Rocky Johnson, who is The Rock's dad, Dwayne Johnson, because they were running partners. So Dwayne Johnson is
so fascinating.
His genetics are fueled by cocaine, apparently, because his dad was hanging out with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He also got, the same year, gets detained in Saudi Arabia for, guess what? Cocaine again. And probably steroids, who knows?
Yeah.
But I know cocaine was the big deal. Steroids weren't really even an
If
issue
you get
back
caught
then.
there with cocaine now, I imagine you're sentenced to years of hard labor and caning.
Yeah, you probably were then, too,
Right.
unless somehow Vince McMahon, I don't know what kind of mafia boss this guy is.
Unbelievable.
But, I mean, usually, I could see muscling the Salina, New York Police Department, but this is the Saudi royal family. He's bitch slapping.
You cane him, I'll cane you. I got a feeling that's what he said.
Apparently so, because
that's my guy that's making
relented.
my money. Fuck with that, and I'll cane all of you.
They relented. 1985, this was in 85, also in 85. This is when the Argentos, or Argentinos, whatever we'll call them, Argentos, the family of Nancy, bring a wrongful death suit against Snuka. Now, this is like the O.J. civil trial.
You can run from the law all you want, but you're not going to run from us, and
you're
going to pay us.
You're going to pay me, basically. They get a default judgment against Snuka, $500,000. Snuka is supposed to pay them.
That's brutal.
Never
what year
paid
was that?
85. So that's a good
Pretty
amount of
decent
money in
amount,
85. That's not bad.
Sure.
He never paid a dime. Never paid a dime. He's told the judge he was flat broke. He owed the IRS $75,000 in back taxes.
Jesus.
And he didn't have a dime to his name. Now at this point too, in 85, he's doing well. He's been making big money the last couple years. But he probably does owe the IRS $75,000. Right. And also too, he's making a lot of cash. This isn't now where it's a big corporate. They don't have any corporate pay. This is, they might have thrown him $300 cash at the end of the night, and they could slip it to him and go, "I only made 120, brother." Right. So it's a different thing.
He's reporting his wages like a servant.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what it seems like. Basically, he continues with his wrestling career. This whole Nancy thing, don't worry, it is floating over his head, and it'll come back. It'll come back in a minute.
Comes back big too.
We'll clean up his wrestling career. 85, 86, he leaves WWF. He was in the first WrestleMania. He was the corner man for Hogan and Mr. T.
Right.
He was with them, and the reason why Mr. T, from what one of the things they say is Snuka probably would have been in that match if he wasn't a complete fucking disaster.
Right.
If he wasn't
strung out on coke of some sort.
Wasn't an unreliable lunatic.
They didn't expect him to even show up to be the corner man.
Yeah,
forget
they were
the
like,
tag team partner.
If he shows, he shows. You know what I mean? Basically, it was not. So he's a mess. WWE. He ends up leaving there. Leaves the WWF. Heads to Minneapolis for Ngannou and the AWA. I mean, God, he goes from that being this famous, and now he's in. I mean, Minnesota was still it was a B to New York's A.
Sure,
but it's Minnesota. I mean, you want to go live in Minneapolis now, and
not really.
He'd done it before, and especially for a Fijian guy.
Sure,
it's 3 feet of snow.
Where's the
no
palm
cliffs.
trees? Right,
no cliffs to dive there.
Are there any coconuts here?
I bet you anything. There's women with hair there that can be dragged through hotels.
Keeps them warm.
So he goes back there, feuds with a guy named Colonel De Beers. They had a big, racist. Colonel De Beers was like this is how different wrestling was too. Yeah. He was a South African separatist. That was his character.
Holy shit!
He was and he would say that I will not wrestle these mongrels and like these other people from other races.
Like represents the apartheid or something.
That's what he said.
Jesus.
He would rail on apartheid, and this guy wasn't from South Africa.
No.
He was like a redneck from Alabama. And he was like, blah, 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 blah. It was ridiculous. So they have a whole feud. I remember this very specifically from being a kid. He gave him like a front pile driver, like a tombstone kind of thing on the concrete, and Snuka was out for like 3 months.
Jesus.
That was a big deal. He probably had legal problems or some
sure.
shit he had to deal with at that point. But I remember that as a kid being a big deal. He continues to wrestle. He goes back. He's all around. He goes back and forth, WWE, out of WWE, going to indies, going to smaller places, goes to Japan, wrestles through the 90s. Now he's getting up there in age. Wrestles. He is one of the first ECW heavyweight champions. If you know what ECW is, it was Extreme Championship Wrestling in the mid-90s. It was guys that would hit each other with chairs.
Sure.
They started the whole chairs and
they aren't fucking around.
spiked baseball bats and shit, and they would just bleed in every match. You got Sandman and Raven and New Jack and all those guys out of that whole breed of people. So that keeps going. He goes back to WCW, which was a major entity there for a while in the late 90s. For a little bit, does a couple appearances. He sticks around wrestling still. 2000s.
60s.
He's working the indie circuit. I mean, he's working, in front of 300 people at a county fair and inside a little building with. It's just a completely different world than what he was used to. He continued to wrestle all the way up.
Jesus.
He was in WrestleMania in 2009.
Oh my God.
2009. He was born in 1943.
So old. Yeah.
He was in WrestleMania 25. Him and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Roddy Piper. They're all 100.
Yeah.
And I actually saw this, and Steamboat actually looked like. I wish I was in that great a shape, and he's 65 years old.
Guys younger than him are dropping dead, and he's trying to enter
fine.
WrestleMania.
He didn't do as much cocaine as any of these guys. So anyway, so Snuka has been involved in wrestling for there. They put him in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Right.
Now they make a big deal. He's a legend. His daughter wrestles in WWE also.
Really?
Or I don't know if she does now, but she did.
I had no idea.
His daughter's in. He's like a legacy, basically. He writes a book. This is when things. This is when things look like ace. Jimmy's an elder statesman at this point.
Beat the rap.
Then he writes a book.
Right.
And this is when shit takes a turn and Jimmy starts going off the rails again, or things go off the rails for him. He writes Superfly, the Jimmy Snuka story, just aptly titled, I guess. I don't
What
know
year
what
did
the
this
hell
book
else
come
you call
out?
it. I think it was 2012.
All right.
Ish, around there.
Gotcha.
It's 213 pages long, so his story.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, I guess, yeah.
For a guy that wrestles outside of, I'm here, now next week I'm there. He's got stories.
He couldn't speak English enough to explain the dead girl in his hotel room a minute ago. Now he's
got 213 pages of English.
He's got 213 pages. I mean, it's weird. And this is like, everybody's behind this book. The WWE, I believe, is the publisher. I'm not sure, but they usually publish their own. If he was under contract, that was part of the deal.
Sure.
Was to publish a book. The foreword is by Roddy Piper and Mick Foley.
Aww.
So, I mean, it's a well-respected thing. And
he's got friends that'll vouch for him and tell you to read his shit.
In this book, he changes his story.
Whoa.
And this is where the problems start. Because the investigators, now the Argento family has been pushing for 30 years for him to be brought up on charges.
Sure.
They've never arrested. They call the prosecutors constantly.
Yeah.
They're like,
you got a daughter, you can imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. This girl's dead.
Yeah.
Clearly, he had something to do with it.
She didn't just beat herself up.
And Vince McMahon just talked this guy out of it. Like, no, I don't think so. Let's go over it a little closer.
That's another good point. The man's not a lawyer, and he beat the rap. Anything that I get into, I'm going to be calling Vince McMahon.
Call Vince McMahon. Yeah. I'm telling you.
He had a traffic ticket. Hey,
yes.
Speak to my lawyer, Vince McMahon.
Speak to my lawyer, Vince McMahon, and his huge wallet.
Right.
So, I don't know. So he's arrested. He's arrested after he says in the book that he changes the story from we fooled around outside, we were messing around, inadvertent push, she fell, to the day before when we were driving into town, we stopped on the side of the road for a pee break. We stopped to pee on the side of the road, and it was icy, and she slipped and fell and hit her head.
Whoa.
But he claimed she was okay to drive because he didn't have a license, so she drove. They went and picked up some food from a diner, went back to the hotel room. Everything was fine for a whole day.
That's not even just like adding a little fact.
No, that's completely changing.
That's a completely different way that she fell.
He said she was fine. They ate food. He went to wrestle, got back, unresponsive. Holy shit, 911, yellow liquid.
That's a big problem.
That's a different story. And the prosecutor noticed this difference in the story. The district attorney and the family, the Argento family, noticed this, and they decide to file third-degree murder charges against him. Because apparently they said this in addition to the forensic evidence, which was pretty heavily in favor of
Lots of bruising.
Yeah, it was lots of bruising, abrasions. So that showed.
You don't just fall over pissing and get a bruise on your neck, hands, wrists,
head, feet,
elbows,
ankles,
feet, right.
knees, ass. They said it was basically her whole body was covered in shit. Yeah, so she wasn't like ejected from a windshield and rolled 20 times to get these wounds. So anyway, they charge him with this. The prosecutor also is going to introduce evidence to the 2 previous assaults, the one incident at the hotel with the police dogs, and also an incident with his wife, where his wife Sharon called the cops on him in '83 for roughing her up. And
So there's a history of violence with this guy.
Exactly.
Despite what's on tape.
This is what he does basically. They schedule. This was in 2015 in September, I believe September 1st of 2015. They charge him. September 2nd of 2015, WWE wipes him off the website completely.
Wow.
Pretends like he never existed all of a sudden now. This is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. This is what they did with Hulk Hogan with the
That's right.
racial slur.
With the N-word. That's right.
All of a sudden Hulk Hogan didn't
disappeared,
exist. Now Jimmy Superfly Snuka doesn't exist. It's interesting. So they schedule jury selection. They decide there's enough. The grand jury indicts him.
Wow.
On June 17th of last year. Yeah, recommendations for charges based on medical and autopsy evidence, Snuka's numerous statements in autobiography, and prior assaults. That's what they quote.
Wow.
Basically, they say he repeatedly assaulted her and then let her die in a hotel room without getting her any medical treatment. He just said, should be all right.
The body kind of shows that.
I get hit in the head all the time. What's the difference, right? So things are going bad for Snuka.
She wasn't even
here.
hit with a coconut. Who gives a shit?
I mean, he wrote his book. He's like a beloved legend. Next thing you know, it's back.
Right.
And he thought this had gone away, too.
Yeah, he thought it was over.
Every interview for his book, every quote in his book was like, one of his quotes is, I've been a bad boy trying to be good my whole life. I've been a bad boy trying to be a good man my whole life. And, all that stuff's behind me now.
Bad boy trying to be a good man.
Trying to be a good man.
That's a T-shirt, babe.
That's a T-shirt.
Great.
Right. I don't know who wrote that for him.
Yeah, he didn't write that shit. No way.
If he did, he speaks English very well. Very well.
If that didn't roll out of Morocco's lips, I don't believe he doesn't speak English. That's great.
It's a fucking mess. The autopsy determined she died from traumatic brain injury, had more than 24 cuts and bruises, injuries consistent with being hit with a stationary object. They think maybe she fell and hit her head on something.
Right.
Or she was bashed with an object or whatever.
Thrown into something.
But yeah, the fact that he likes to push and shove and choke and do things like that, according to other women, shows maybe that's what it was.
Kinda.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because in this trial, his current wife is 100% like did not. Now she married him in 2004, so she didn't
has
even
no
know
idea
this
what
person.
he did. Right.
This was 20 years before that.
She's completely oblivious to everything he's done.
And of course she's supportive because this is coming out of her pocket the whole time. I mean, if your
Absolutely.
husband's up for a 30-year-old murder, you're like, fuck, he didn't do it just because it's
no way
easier.
He did that. Right.
Yeah, she's been dead for 30 years. Whatever. I have kids now. She's saying
I got kids that need food.
Yeah, she's saying how gentle he is and all this. And, people are running from Snuka at this point. It doesn't look good for him.
No.
But all of a sudden in January of 2016, they take a different angle, the defense team. Defense team says now he is not competent to stand trial.
Oh,
they say the last few months, coincidentally, right about when this trial started, he is now suffering from very, very bad dementia. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't even know why he's charged. He doesn't remember the incident. He doesn't remember Nancy. He doesn't know what happened.
I feel like maybe they saw Will Smith's concussion.
Yeah. I mean, this is convenient. And also, too, like, it's again to me, I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean, it's again to me his whole, hey, dumb it up, buddy. Just let Vince do the talking.
Sure.
I think that's kind of how was taught to deal with things, basically.
That's his history.
Cocaine problem? I'll let Vince handle it. Woman's fucking, 9 attack dogs. Let Vince handle it. So it's a disaster. It's a mess. He's saying he's not competent, and the trial is actually now delayed because pending an investigation of his competency.
Wow.
Basically, the defense attorney is saying, he's not competent to stand trial. The prosecutor has been saying this is, he's made his career in entertainment.
Yeah.
There's an exchange with the judge where he said, he's made his career in entertainment. kind of playing a character similar to this.
Similar to this.
And she said he's also made a career in head trauma.
Yeah.
So let's look at it.
Right.
Because he has been hit in the head a whole lot. And he did get hit in the head a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in Piper's Pit, he took a coconut.
If you
Just
hit
that
me,
one coconut would be enough to make me retarded forever.
if you broke a coconut over my head,
Forget it.
that's it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the alphabet.
I would be drooling all day long forever.
I would not remember killing a woman. So he doesn't know why he's arrested. He doesn't understand what the hell was going on. The district attorney said his mental health was taken into account and considered at grand jury. So what are we doing? That was like 6 months ago. Did he completely just melt away in 6
Just
months?
now?
And that's what they're saying, basically. That's the whole thing there.
Weirdly, since we told him he's being investigated for murder, can't remember shit.
Can't remember a goddamn thing. So, and basically, too, like, at this point, the family, Nancy's family, is like, they're like, justice is finally being, I mean, they're happy as shit. They're out there ringing the bell.
Absolutely.
And they're getting a little bit too enthusiastic about it, apparently, because there's a gag order on all participants. For the judges, a gag order on everybody.
No, they're going to ruin it.
And they apparently...
They're going to blow it.
Yeah, they got in trouble recently for, I believe it was her sister, posted 23 articles about the crime on Facebook.
Holy shit.
Violating the gag order. And this is like the second time she's done it. Like, she just wants to... She's just not having it.
Right.
She's like, he killed her. Here's all the evidence. Fuck this.
Let's say she wasn't an angel, your sister, but...
Yeah, but she's
still dead. But shut your goddamn mouth and let justice be justice.
And Snuka's out. I mean, he's $100,000 bail.
Wow.
10% of 100 grand. I mean, 10 grand, he's out on the street.
Wow.
I mean, who knows? It's nuts, man. I mean, the one sister, Lorraine, Nancy's sister Lorraine, is the one that was saying, she's testifying now that that Nancy called her frantic at 2 a.m. after the Howard Johnson incident. Said Snuka was drunk and coked up and grabbed her by the hair and dragged her through the place, and she was scared of him. And I guess as these calls were common, that, you know, oh my God, Nancy sounded like too. She was drunk. Imagine you're at your home, you have like a husband and like a kid, and like you're relaxing and you're sleeping. You got to be up at 7:30 to go to work in the morning. You're getting 3 a.m. calls from your sister going, Jimmy Superfly Snuka's drunk, he's doing coke, and he's just choking me and beating me.
And it's a slurring, coked out Nancy.
And she's a mess.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's a mess. Like, hey, did this and that.
Then leave him or go to bed, dummy.
Yeah, that's probably what the sister said. Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, this was 3 months beforehand, right after that incident. She called the family and said, I have to get away from him. How do I get away from him? And they were like, I don't know. He's married and has 4 kids. Just leave.
Send him home.
But apparently...
call his wife.
apparently at that point the cocaine would get good to her. And she'd go back. So it's just so funny because imagine, Snuka's in there. I imagine him trying to charm the cops too.
Yeah.
Like in the original arrest. And, like he's offering him like wrestling tickets. He's like, I can get you a foam finger, brother. You know what I mean?
We're on the 2nd floor. Throw a quarter in the swimming pool. I'll bet I get it before it hits the bottom.
I bet I can do it. I'll do it.
I'll do some parlor tricks for you guys. Jesus.
Amazing. Yeah, so he said, also, too, the funny part is now he's saying he doesn't understand English also.
Right.
He wrote a fucking book.
231 pages.
I've read.
You're on TV speaking into a camera.
I read 20 interviews with this guy where he has coherent, point-to-point thoughts.
With fairly large words.
Yeah, where you ask him a question. I mean, he sounds dumb.
Right.
But you ask him a question and he says, well, let me tell you, brother. And then he tells you an answer. You know what I mean? So it's like he
can answer that shit.
He answers questions. He speaks English.
I know things about wrestling. I don't know much about murders.
That's the other thing. When you get dementia, do you forget whole languages? I used to speak English. Now I don't anymore. Is that what happens? Like I forgot my wife's name, my kid's birthday, and the entire language of French. Is that what happens? Like, how the fuck does that work? Oh, my God. Also, too, Jimmy did not have a good time, too, because, I mean, he's charged September 1st, 2015. In October, he's diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Jesus.
So Jimmy is now fighting stomach cancer, apparently fighting dementia.
And the law.
Most importantly, Jimmy is fighting a murder charge. And this isn't like involuntary manslaughter. Right. This is murder.
This is murder.
Third-degree murder.
It's a big deal.
For a 72-year-old man. anything's a big deal for a 72-year-old man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want any kind of tax problems. I mean, you will die in prison if you're 72 and have stomach cancer. There is no
You'll
top
die
ropes.
in prison if you don't have stomach cancer.
There is no top rope.
He's fucked.
That
He's
would have been
completely
great.
fucked.
How great would it have been if the coroner's report said her wounds are consistent with a woman who has been hit with a top rope splash from a Fijian man. How amazing would that have been?
It looks like somebody jumped off of a cliff and tried to pull a quarter out of her ass.
Looks like a man jumped from a high surface.
And just landed flat.
About the level of like a rope, like a top rope in like a wrestling ring, about that
4
high.
feet high.
And then leapt into the air.
Spread eagle.
Spread eagle. And really hit her good.
Really
That's what it looks like.
Really gave her everything he had.
You know, anybody like
Anybody
that?
that's like 6'4", about 280 pounds, something like that.
250 pounds, 6 foot guy, real muscular. I think
might
I
be-
smell coconut on her also. Look for
There's
a Fijian.
coconut oil all over.
All over. Maybe that's what the yellow liquid was coming out of her nose. It's coconut oil from Snuka's.
That one hurt. Oh,
my
boy.
God. So Snuka, so he's progressing now to this day. Snuka is still going through this. They delayed, like I said, the trial was jury selection was supposed to start in March of this year, and that's delayed now. So we're waiting on Jimmy Snuka. So this is one where we couldn't say specifically this well, I mean, we can never really know for sure, but I mean, he wasn't convicted. This is all alleged. But
I'll bet you he dies before this is all over.
Just I bet you that's the goal.
Stomach yeah, you're probably right.
That's probably the goal.
And we're never going to be able to do the follow-up episode of hey guys, guess what? Jimmy Superfly Snuka was put in prison. It's just going to be Jimmy died, and now this is the one that we have to say allegedly for everything.
Yeah,
for everything.
Out of all the wrestlers that dropped dead at 51,
right. The guy that murders somebody sticks around for way too long.
The one guy with murder charges hanging over his head. I mean, he would have that's the guy he would have wanted to die at 51 because he wouldn't have to deal with these damn murder charges going on.
You got Roddy Piper and the Ultimate Warrior are gone.
So Jimmy, in closing, tons of cocaine, tons of stuff. He's made quotes saying, if you gave me a powder or a pill and you said it would make me bigger or stronger, I'd take it. He's like, I was too trusting.
We should all be so lucky.
Yeah. And he keeps there's a lot of like blaming, not blaming, just saying
Passing
he was
the buck.
so naive
Right.
he was, and just so naive. It's
not necessarily blaming anybody more than it's just denying his culpability.
Yeah, he's like a violent Forrest Gump, basically, is what he is. He's just like... I would have loved to see Tom Hanks come off the top rope on somebody, by the way. That would have been amazing.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. So, yeah, Jimmy he's in trouble at this point.
He's a
so
mess.
We'll keep you guys updated on whether Jimmy is ready to stand trial, whether he's competent to stand trial, the whole deal. My prediction is they're going to say he's not competent to stand trial. If he fooled millions of wrestling fans for years and years, he's going to fool some psychiatrist into thinking
get a psychiatrist and a federal judge.
Some court-appointed psychiatrist. He's just going to sit there and stare at him with those... So Snuka had to look like he was not in his mind. Like he was just staring like he was a crazy. He's going to do that.
10-mile stare right through you.
I feel like Snuka's going to get off on
the end
this.
of it.
That's sad. But... You know, I didn't know whether to do this, honestly, guys. We were kind of going back and forth on whether to do this because he wasn't convicted, and we didn't know. But you know what? Fuck him at this point. It's pretty clear something happened.
Something bad happened.
He at least, you know what? People have this. He fought 2 police dogs.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
All you fucking dog lovers out there. I don't care if you care about Nancy or anything else.
He's the Michael Vick of wrestling.
He will fight police dogs. So fuck him. Okay? There.
9 cops and 2 dogs. That's insanity.
That's insane. What would you, if 9 cops and 2 dogs want to restrict, I give up.
1 dog.
One
dog,
cop. 1 cop. He's got a gun.
Right.
I don't.
I don't.
And he's a cop.
He's got coke.
I'm not going to fight him. That's the other thing, too. He's probably got cocaine strapped to his body at this point, like he did in Kuwait. Who knows what the fuck this guy's doing.
Unbelievable.
So, Jimmy,
you're a piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit. Cheers to you. Salute. Basically, that's that for this week. Please follow us on Twitter, @crimeinsports. crimeinsports@gmail.com is the email. Facebook.com/crimeinsports is the Facebook page. Get on there, follow us. Next week, we're deciding between two people next week.
Right.
If you guys have an opinion on it, if we haven't already recorded it by then, please drop us a message. Tell us what you think.
Sure.
But we're looking at either an international soccer player, a guy named Marlon King, who
we said we were going to
shit.
do this week.
Yes.
And we chose Jimmy because we'd just rather.
He's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was fun, and
lunatic.
I'm still researching soccer because I know shit about it. And neither does Jimmy. So we need to get our soccer terminology down. I was like, I'll dive into wrestling first.
Yeah.
I know more about that.
So we have Marlon King or
we're looking at a woman named Sally McNeil.
She is fan-fucking-tastic.
This, I think you guys might want Sally McNeil. She's a giant, crazy-looking weightlifter woman who killed her husband.
I love her.
And it's a fucking sordid mess of a tale.
If anybody knows me, they know that I love crazy broads, and this one is as crazy as it gets.
She is crazy. So we're going to do one of those. Either way, guys, this is why we're trying to tell you, whether it's Superfly Snuka or whether it's Jason Williams, Lawrence, whoever it is, just trust us. It's going to be funny. We'll make it funny. We'll make it interesting. If it's a world you don't know about, we'll take you through it and in the least boring way possible. And
by the end of it, who knows? You might be into wrestling now.
You might be into wrestling. People are going to be YouTubing Jimmy Superfly Snuka, MSG, Morocco, The Splash. They will be YouTubing
and taking a coconut to the head in Piper's Pit. Do that
YouTube
too.
that
I'm sure
shit.
it's on
Really.
YouTube.
Look at Jimmy Snuka and imagine you're a woman in a hotel room and this guy wants to tell you the truth about God and you don't want to hear it.
And not just any woman. Nancy was not a big girl.
She was a small,
She was a tiny 5'6", I believe.
She's
she was
petite
small,
though, thin. She was a pretty girl, very
beautiful, dark-haired,
girl.
olive-skinned woman.
Sad.
Picture that running from that monster.
So so please look that up.
Yeah,
Look
and you'll
up this
know
stuff.
how
the level
easily
of
it
terror
would be for him to kill her.
So it wouldn't have taken a lot of intent, put it that way. Accidents could have definitely happened there, but I mean, you shouldn't be accidentally tussling with a small woman when you're that size. So anyway, yes, thank you guys so much for listening. Join us again next week. Jimmy, give them your Twitter. They can follow you.
At Whisman Sucks on Twitter and Instagram. WHISMAN Sucks.
And I am at Jimmy P is Funny on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook. Just look us up. Our names are on the description of the podcast. Thank you so much. Join us again next week. Please rate, review, share, tell your friends.
Love it.
Crime and Sports Movement is coming for you. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios.
See you next week.
See you next week. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.